All right, hello everyone. Well, this is awkward because I've never done this before. So, welcome to a stream of me working on a side project. So this is part of my little challenge to design, build, and then also release an entire iOS app within just 1 week. It's a little vacation project of mine because during lockdown, there's only so much that you can do. Yeah, so this is gonna be 1 hour of you following me around if you would like to. Maybe a few housekeeping items. All right. Yeah, a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, as I said, it's gonna be about 1 hour. It will be highly improvised, so don't expect anything polished out of this. Um, the other thing is I will monitor the comments on YouTube. So if there is anything that I know you would like to ask, or you see me doing something that seems just terribly wrong, then please, please, please tell me. Um, yeah, I think that's it. So what I would like to do in this hour is a couple of things. First of all, I figured it would make sense to talk a little bit about the concept in general because actually I haven't really shared that in much depth yet. So what is this app actually going to be about? Because I don't just want it to be the recreation of some boilerplate project or tutorial project, but I actually want it to be something that I can, release and that will at least provide value to myself. Part number two is I'll show you the current state, how far I've gotten. So this is being recorded kind of in the middle of day number 4 of the 5-day challenge. So we're nearing the end there. And yeah, then from there on, I will split the time maybe half-half, spend half of the time on design, improving things there, and then the other half on implementation. And we'll see what exactly we'll do. We'll see how far we get. So with that, let's get into it and let's talk about the concept a little bit. And let me pull up my notes here so that I can actually make this ever so slightly smoother. And actually, let me also put a little thing into the comments here. All right, there we go. So the concept. So the app that I want to create is a checklist app. That sounds a lot like a to-do app, which is, of course, the kind of app that there is, a tutorial in every programming language for. But I think it's actually quite different. And I was looking for something like this for myself, but I wasn't able to really find anything. So when I say checklist app, what I'm really thinking of is an app that helps me do repetitive tasks and do them perfectly each time. So for example, a lot of people have a morning routine, and when you establish that, you always want to go through the same steps. And at the same time, I don't really want that in my to-do list, but I would like something where I can just go through, and when I'm done, it resets, and on the next day, I have a fresh start automatically without, I don't know, unchecking all the things again or something like that. And there are, a couple of use cases where this could be helpful. Morning routine is one. I've also been thinking about this for ending meetings, actually, because that's something that I just want to do better, to make sure that I recap all the takeaways and that I assign owners to actions and that I schedule follow-ups and send out the materials. So all these are things that maybe in that situation, which might be a little bit stressful, I might not think of. And so I hope that this app will help me basically do those perfectly each time. There are a couple of other ideas for what something like this could be used for, like packing lists, of course. Also, for people dealing with anxiety, it can be helpful to have a list to run through mentally to help ground yourself. Medication lists, skincare routines, all kinds of things. Basically anything that you want to do repeatedly, that you don't really care a lot about keeping a record of, but that you want to do the same way each time and that you don't want to forget anything about. So that is the concept. And with that, I think I'm gonna switch over here right after I clean up my windows a little bit, and just show you what this looks like right now. So let me build this in a simulator. And yeah, you can already see a little bit of the code here and my slightly convoluted project structure. We'll get more into that later, or maybe not. So here we go. Simulator is starting up. Let's put this into the middle. All right, here we go. So very colorful right now. That is actually something that I want to change. But basically what you have here is a list of your checklists. And what I can do is, so let's say meeting wrap up. Let's say this is now me finishing a meeting. Going in here, say, okay, I have assigned owners, I have sent out notes to participants, and I have recapped all the points, and then I will get a little animation here. And when I tap again, I'm back here. I can also edit this. This is where you see, yeah, that none of this is final, so I can delete items. I can also reorder things, and I can, of course, create new ones. So, yeah, some list, do first thing, and then do the second thing, something else. All right. And then I'll save it, and it is here. And yeah, I can do with it what I want. I can start running that list. And actually, one thing that was kind of half a constraint from technology and half something that I actually want in there as a design decision is when you start going through a list, but then decide to close this, it will basically ask you if you really want to do that. Because currently this app can only have one active list at a time, and that's something that I actually don't intend to change. So it should really nudge me towards completing a list once I start it. So it's not really made for, you know, moments when I want to I don't know, do something over the course of an entire week. That's not really the use case. It's more like in the moment, I want to do this maybe within a couple of minutes or hours. It's not possible to have like 2 open lists at a time and so forth. When you close it, it basically implies that you're done with it. Yeah, so that is how far I've gotten. Actually, what you don't see here in the stream is that yesterday I also managed to put some haptic feedback in there, which turned out kind of cool. So, you know, when you reorder or when you finish or when you check something off, you get some nice ticks out of it. And yeah, what else is there to say? I think that is actually it. Oh yeah, you can of course also edit something. So let's say this is not my evening, but my morning routine. And then, well, actually I now have 2 morning routines. Let's fix that. There we go. So yeah, this is it. Right now the UI is mostly where Swift UI, which is the framework that I've been using, has allowed me to go fairly easily. So the thing is, I have never really created an iOS app with this framework before, or really with even the previous framework UI kit. So I had no idea what I was walking into, and it just made sense for me to not, you know, make a lot of decisions up front of like, I want it to look exactly like that, and then this other thing exactly like this, because I just had absolutely no idea how hard it would be to do all these different things. So the nice thing is, now that I've spent some time with it, I understand it a little bit better, and I roughly know what at least I think I'll be able to do within the next day and a half. And so now I can actually spend a little bit more time on design. And I think the first thing that I'd like to do is, I mean, these representations of checklists here just don't look good. And they also imply the wrong thing. Like, they imply that you could have it like that you could have it partially checked off here, which is, as I mentioned before, just not the case. It may be even imply that you can actually tap on here and it would, you would already start checking things off here, so that's not really good either. So I'm going to do a little bit of design exploration on that. And then, yeah, when I'm done with that, maybe I'll look into the checklist view itself, what that should look like. I think generally we can go a little bit bolder with the design because, you know, it's not an app that does a whole lot, so it also doesn't need to be super efficient with space, at least right now. And yeah, let's see what we can do there. So starting, I will just pull up a empty Figma document here. Nothing in there right now. And then what I will do is I'll just grab this list. Whoops. I'll just grab this list of use cases from Notion. Because that's something that's going to be nice to have around, because really I kind of want to have real data when I'm designing here. I don't want to design with lorem ipsum. I don't want to design with you know, lists that maybe are only 2 items long when most of them would be 50 or vice versa. So these are just some ideas that I myself, my wife, and a friend of hers have come up with what you could use this kind of app for. So I'll use that as a basis, but actually not all of it. So yeah, let's maybe flesh this out slightly more. Morning routine. What is going on here? All right, I don't know what Figma is doing there. It creates a mug. Oh, it's the 1st of April, so of course every software in the world is doing weird stuff. This is not an April Fool's joke though. This will be an actual app, I promise. It's gonna happen. Anyway, okay, so I guess beer mugs or something like that are my... No, cats, okay. See where my mind went? Those are gonna be my bullets. So cat number 1 in the morning routine is, so this is actually what I do in the morning, is I do 1 or more pull-ups. It's actually a fun little thing that I read in a book called, what was it called? Something around habits. But basically that the good way to make a habit stick is to have the habit itself be very minimal. So in this case, do 1 pull-up. And then, but you can go beyond. So most days I don't do 1 pull-up, but I do like 3 or 4, and then I can't anymore. Also, it's the morning. Anyway, then I will take a shower and then, oh, it's different animals. Cool. Yeah, so take a shower, make coffee, and then I read 1 article from my Instapaper. Actually, let's make that a little longer. And how about I also flesh things out a bit more for the starting and the ending my workday bit, and then we'll have 3 different lists that we can use as data here. So starting or ending my my workday, well, actually, let's only talk about ending. We have a lot of starting. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about ending my workday. So what I do is I get to inbox 0, which actually works surprisingly well, and I'm doing that mostly by converting stuff in my emails into to-dos, and I do the same with Slack. Slack 0, and then what else did I do? Reschedule to-dos. So in my to-do list, if there's anything that I didn't get to today, I kind of want to reconsider, is this worth carrying over to tomorrow? Do I want to delete it? Is it maybe for later? Did I find out that it can't be done easily? And yeah, let's actually leave it at that for now. And okay, so we have enough in here, I think, to start the design process. So now we have really 2 questions. First of all, how would something like this be represented in an overview, ideally? And how would something like this be represented in a detail view? So basically the two views that I showed you earlier. And let me make this a little bigger here. And let's see. So I'm just gonna, this is maybe more like visual sketching rather than actually doing any, any visual design, but I like that bubble shape that I had here. And then, so one way to do this is that I could just have the titles. So morning routine, and that would somehow, whoops, that would somehow be in here. And then let's see, ending my workday. It's going to be interesting what will happen when the words get longer here. Whoops. And ending a meeting. Do I have anything with really long words down here? No. Oh well. So that is a direction that I could think of, but let's not go deeper on that right now. Let's just come up with a couple of more ideas. Something else is basically what I already prototyped in the app a little bit, and that is to show a little preview, because why not? So let's make that a little smaller maybe. And then let's say I'm gonna go down here, and yeah, as you see, this file will not be handed over to developers. It's just going to be me looking at it. So I don't particularly care if the font sizes are the right ones or if, the dimensions are right, because, I'll have to kind of approximate things anyway when I'm then in Xcode again. Actually, I just had an idea. How about I share a link to this file, because this is Figma after all. And so that you can follow along if you'd like. I'm just gonna see if I can paste that here in the YouTube chat. Doop. I'm gonna follow along while I'm doing design work. Here's the Figma file. There we go. Okay, and by the way, you probably noticed that there's like half a minute or so delay between the chat and what I'm saying and so forth. So here we are. Okay, so this is gonna be smaller, and actually that's still too large. Yeah, that looks more like it. And then we can just make that a little something like this. And I think I'm actually going to trim them and not let them break. And there is, I think, a way to do this in Figma, but I forget how. Fixed size. That seems about right. So now, nope. Okay. Well, I guess I'll just have to. Yeah, not in the mood to figure that out now. So do 1 plus pull-ups and take a shower and make coffee. Okay, so hello, Sven. All right, so let's see. This is one way to show this, and but I mean, this doesn't look like a list right now, so let's pull that over a little bit. And actually, let's maybe pull the whole thing a little bit over, and then see if we can put little circles in here. That does anything good. If you are currently questioning my design skills, I don't blame you. The good news is, as I said, this is more sketching at a higher fidelity than it is actually designing. But okay, so these are some options. I mean, I don't love them. And I wonder actually how much more information they give you, because in the end, as someone who created all those lists, you should kind of know what is in the list, or at least have a rough idea. So I think I'm not going to go down this route, but maybe stick more with something like what we have up here. There we go. Whoops. You know what? Let's do some minimal cleanup here by just creating groups so that my list here doesn't get too long. Okay, what next? So you could, of course, also do this as a horizontal item, like something like this, and then maybe you can even go a little bit larger proportionally and potentially bolder with this whole thing. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I wonder, what we would use all this space for. But yeah, let's still try it. The thing is, I mean, I could also use a regular iOS list, but that just doesn't feel right to me. And the other thing is, I find that in grid views, at least for me, it's kind of easier to find things again because I have more of a spatial, oh, it was on the top right or like in the middle, and then to the left, or like one scroll down and then on either side. And I think maybe combining that with the color coding that I already have in a crappy version in the prototype right now, it should make it fairly easy to find things again. So I'm kind of gravitating towards something like that. And I still would like to have a look here at what this looks like, or what this could do when the lines become too long. So conversation is the longest word I can think of off the top of my head. So have a good conversation. Yeah, I mean, I think that's better than the alternative, which would be to, end the whole string here entirely. Not ideal, but on the other hand, yeah, I think maybe with playing a little bit with the font size and so forth, I think I can get to a compromise. Also, I think, actually, now that I think of it, I believe that iOS has a mechanism where it can automatically shrink text once it overflows. So I could use that, and that way you would always have the whole title in here. And I mean, it's a title, it's not supposed to be a novel. So yeah, that could be an option. Okay, I have a comment here. Sven asks, I think if you want to show that you need to check off the entire list, some kind of progress indication for the list title instead of a checkbox for single items might be useful. Oh, wow, yeah, that's actually a good point. And I think maybe something to put into the detail view, so into the view where you have the actual checklist. Because the thing is, the way that the app is built right now, you will never see this overview while doing a checklist, because you cannot get out of this checklist view without losing your progress. And we can debate whether that's good or not, but it's the constraint that I have right now. Yeah, oh, Sagar, yes, you did miss the part where I explained what the app is intended to do. Short version is it's a to-do list, or sorry, it is not a to-do list app, it's a checklist app, which is different. So, you can, yeah, maybe rewatch this later, and then you see the beginning, or actually, let me put this in the chat. It's an app for checklists. It should help you do repeating tasks perfectly every time. Think morning routines. Well, actually, let's just leave it at that. Okay. So cool. So I'm gonna go forward with this direction once again. Also, I have less than a day and a half to do this, so I'm not gonna be particularly precious about how I'm designing this. So okay, let's see. The font that is used by default is, oh well, I don't have this enabled yet. Okay. Well, the font is gonna continue to be Roboto for now. Or do I have something like... Nope. Okay. Well, never mind. We'll see what it looks like actually afterwards. So I think if I do this, this should be bold. Just because it needs a bit more presence, in my opinion. And as I said, I really like this idea of color coding, so that you can more easily identify a thing again. It's possible that at some point you have a lot of checklists in there, so let's maybe see what that could look like. And in terms of color, can we do HSL here? Yes. So I think I would like it to be fairly vibrant in general, but of course things should be still, readable. So saturation probably at 100%, and let's just run through here where it works and where it doesn't. So the blues is where it gets kind of weird with the contrast. Actually, let's also try that with some white text. Whoops. Hello. Nope, I do not want the drop shadow. Thank you very much. White text, and let's see. I think I'm gravitating towards black text, but and actually, let's start with the same and just see what this looks like. And now I can just run through here. Okay, yeah, they're in the yellow. So there's no, I mean, I think unless I go down with the brightness, there's really no color that doesn't look odd, at least in some cases. So let's see, let's go back here to something that is more like what I want, maybe. Yeah, this is not particularly good to read, but let's leave it like that for now. Because I think I'm gonna go with something like this anyway. And what I can do now is make this the same hue and then just pull down the brightness over here. And I think that actually looks pretty nice. Now, by the way, the reason, or one of the reasons why I am so specifically looking into hues and something that works for all hues is that the way that it's implemented right now is basically the colors in the app at the moment are just random hues with a fixed brightness and saturation. So unless I want to change that in the app, I have to find something that works pretty well there. I generally like the system. I could, of course, switch to something where you can choose from a number of colors to begin with, but this is the way I decided to go for now. Maybe I'll change my mind later. Whatever. Anyway, so now let's start with the same thing, go to a different hue. Let's go actually to one that's kind of difficult with a black text, and then start off with something like this again. Pull that all the way down. Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually not too bad. I think that might work. I mean, this is not best readability ever, but it's also pretty large and it looks fine to me. So why don't I just apply the same logic to these other items here? What? Stay. So it doesn't stay. Well, that is unfortunate. So let's go for like the ugliest color I can find, which I think is this. Actually, once you do it, it's not even that terrible. I guess there are no ugly colors, only ugly uses of colors. So let's go here and pull that down to, really, what is the brightness setting that I'm using for text? It's 20 here. It would be really nice if I could leave that color picker open. That would be dope. Or if there was a keyboard shortcut. Okay, I'm gonna go with 20. And now here, actually, I'm gonna simulate the thing that iOS does where it scales things down a little bit. And scales it down more, and scales it down even more. Whoa. All right. I guess that's the way it is. So let's go here and go to, what don't I have? I have a red, I have a greenish thing. Let's maybe go with yellow, because yellow can look weird when it's modified. But let's see if that is the case, and it is not. Cool. I actually find this pretty nice, all things considered. Maybe looks a little bit dull right now. I'm gonna actually, I'll try one more thing, and that is, I'll turn this into a gradient, into a very, very subtle gradient. Actually, let me try to somehow save this. Was there a button here at some point? I haven't used Figma properly in a while. Well, let's just hope that this stays. Okay, and then set this thingy to also that, and then maybe I will, maybe if I just decrease the saturation. Doesn't look terrible. I don't want to make it lighter. How about less saturated and darker? No. Let's just go down with the saturation, maybe to 80. How's this? And I think I might want something like this. By the way, I have no idea if actually the iOS API makes it easy to do gradients like this, but I'm just gonna try it. All right. Okay. I mean, this doesn't look terrible. Let's see, it gives it a little bit more texture, for the lack of a better word, even though it definitely is not texture. So let's maybe just do one more example here. I'm not going to go through all four because move forward square. Oh, visibility. Okay. Got it. Okay. So I can save this as a red gradient. Excellent. Nice. Thank you, Sven. And if anyone else has any ideas about how I can do things better here, let me know anytime. Okay, so I switched this, and then here, actually, I did the wrong thing, so I'm gonna make this all blue, and then down here, again, take this down to 80. And yeah, I think that's nice. It's possible that the YouTube compression, by the way, completely butchers these subtle gradients. So yeah, if that's the case, you'll just have to click the Figma link and you'll see what it looks like. Really no way around it. But cool. I mean, I think that looks okay. I definitely want to play a little bit more with the font size and what works there, but I'll actually do that in development because, well, I don't have San Francisco, the font here. I forgot to set that up beforehand, so it's just gonna be like that. So let's see, I have 20 minutes left, so let me maybe do a quick attempt at the screen that shows you the checklist itself here, because I think I still want to reserve at least, I don't know, 17, 18 minutes for going into code. All right, so let's actually say I'm on an iPhone 8 because, oh, Jesus Christ, okay, all my scaling has been wrong. Well, only one way to fix that. Well, multiple ways, but that's the easiest one. Okay, so here's my phone screen rather. Yeah, I generally like big type here. As I said, there's not that much going on the screen, so I just want to make it very, very bold. And I mean, I think what I could do is actually just use this as a starting point and remove the borders here, pull this all the way over, and then make this significantly larger. Oh well, that looks a little bit like material design, doesn't it? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So I'll just leave it like that for now, because I also still need the items, which I actually, from my morning routine, I have these items here, which is nice because there's also one really long one in there, which will help me keep it real. And thank you, Figma, for introducing those delightful little bullets. In fact, actually, I'll just need one to start with. And okay, so this is definitely too large for the screen. That is still, yeah, maybe something like that. Once again, this is not a science, this is just an approximation at this point. This is not how I would design for a project that takes more than a week, but as it is, this is exactly what I do. Pragmatic decision making. All right, so definitely not a fan of check boxes that are actual boxes, much more of a fan of check circles. Is that a word? I don't know, let me know. So, no fill please, but I do want a stroke. I wonder actually if there's some, yeah, no, it looks more like a dot. I was just curious what would happen if I play with this, with the stroke slider here. But so let's make this a little bit smaller. Actually, right now I'm just recreating what I already have in the app right now, basically as a starting point. So I can do this, and then it's take a shower, and then it's make coffee. Okay, well, I mean, this definitely requires a bit more work, or a lot more work, actually. And I was thinking that maybe I could throw something together super quickly, but I don't think that is actually realistic. Though, actually, you know what? There is one thing that I want to try out, and that is how to treat that close button. Because right now, if you remember, is this still open here in the simulator? Right now, if you remember, the close button is just floating around oddly at the bottom because that's where it ended up without me doing anything, which is, of course, not at all what I want. So maybe that is a problem that I can solve right now. So how about I do this as a floating pill button? Also kind of reminiscent of the radiuses that I'm using out here. So, hello. Corner radius, please. So if I have something like that, and then let's say I put on, you know what? Why not? I'll just mirror the color. And now I know how to save this as a style. So there we go. I'll just do this and then use this kind of text style. Yeah, this actually needs a different caption than close because it doesn't just close, it also discards. So maybe cancel, and definitely not this size. Yeah, no, I think there we might need a. And first of all, this is generally way too large. But I think I can't get away with this type of contrast in this size. This might work in the big ones here. And I mean, blue is the least forgiving of all of them. But yeah, for something like that, I would probably want to go with something like this. And then shadows, I guess. And yeah, maybe, I guess that could work. What is that gradient like right now? Oh, okay. Well, okay. Anyway, I would say that's good enough for now. And let's spend the last 15 minutes of this in code. And so I think what I will start with is actually implementing this stuff here. So I think job number one, I'll start with solid colors here. As I mentioned before, I'm not sure how exactly gradients work in iOS and in SwiftUI. But I can start with the solid colors, make sure that it actually looks like this, and then continue on with adding a gradient potentially. So let's actually hide this for now and get into Xcode. But before, let me take a sip of coffee here because it's important to not fall asleep while streaming. All right, so let's see. So there is this view called template list view, and this is this view basically, which looks so flimsy after working on it for a little bit. Anyway, so this is probably the longest file in the entire project. Part of it is because I think around a third of the file or a quarter or so is the drag and drop code for reordering those things. But what we also have somewhere, starting a checklist, there we go, so this here, this part is the actual item. Actually, this part here, this VStack, is the actual item, because, oh yeah, actually what's not, what we haven't thought about yet is, oops, let me start this. What we haven't thought about yet is that there's also these edit buttons that, these are terrible colors, that show up here. I would maybe implement those as like little floaty buttons on top instead of text labels. So something like, let me just mock this up super quickly. Something like, yeah, there's one here and maybe one here. That's Mickey Mouse ears, maybe something like this. So that one of them would be the edit and one of them would be the delete button. Well, probably this would be the delete button. So this is kind of the long game. Not sure if I'll get to that today. But okay, so first of all, I do not want those little items in here anymore. I don't want a preview of what's actually on the list. So this should be the easy part, because I can just essentially remove this little stack here, which is those items. And then it should be gone. Also, right now, these in the preview, these will change colors every single time that the preview reloads, simply because that's how the preview works and how I configured it, which you can have opinions about. And it's great. But okay, so the text should be bold. It already is bold. Excellent. So what do I want? I want, first of all, to make this bigger. So let's start with that. And this is already a point where I just do not know how exactly to do it. So Swift UI text size, there we go. So what I have found, okay, there's a font property. So what I found, there's actually one website, I think it's called Hacking with Swift or so, which has really helped me along here. So that's super nice. Okay, so let's see, font. And oh, okay, there's some examples. Nice. Font.system size. Okay, so let's see. I don't know what really the reference here is. I'll just start with something. Okay, it's points. So I'm just gonna play around with this. Whoops. Nope. Definitely not 500. And see what looks good. I mean, that is definitely too... Yeah, 30 looks about right. Okay. So there's that. The next thing that I would like to do, this is actually a rectangle at the moment, and I do not want it to be a rectangle. I want it to be a square now. So I believe I'm setting a... Oh, you know what? Yeah, the thing is I have set the frame for each of these items to infinity so that they scale with the device, which makes sense given that there's different devices. But this means that they will rarely be actual squares. Well, is this a problem I want to solve right now? I don't think so. So let's just make this a little smaller and go from there. Okay, next up, I want to change the whole color thing. So what is happening, and let me actually go into my model here. So these little items here actually are called templates in the app because they're templates for checklists. I don't think I would use that name in the UI, but that's what it's called in the code now. It would be too hard to change it at this point. And so here's the model for one template. So this is like the data structure for it. And you can see that it has a hue variable, which is just a number between 0 and 1. And here you can see it set to a random value right now. So based on that, I should be able to kind of transfer what I started in Figma in order to create those hopefully slightly nicer looking color combinations. So let's look at the background first. And where is this? Let's just search for hue. There we go. So saturation 1, and okay, I have the brightness also set to 1. So let's look in Figma what is that I did here. So here I have, and the brightness is 65. Okay, let's work with that. So 0.65. That does not look the same. Okay. Actually, let me try something. Is just to make sure that I'm using the right references here. Is 111? Okay, that is not. Oh, wait, 101. 1 should be white. Okay. Okay, so I'm actually working with values from 0 to 1 on all three of those components. I wasn't sure because, like, for example, yeah, Figma here uses like 360, 0 to 360, 0 to 100, 0 to 100. Okay, so, you know what? Okay, it's the difference between HSL and HSB. Ugh, cool. But it is the same model. I'm just working with the saturation, of course. Okay. What I want to do now is also apply the color to the text, because so far that's not happening. So let me just take this entire line here and find the text. That's the button. There. Am I? Oh, there we go. There's a grid view. Okay, here's my text. And here I want to set the foreground color. And okay, this is now, of course, the same, but I can also pop in here again. And so here the brightness is 40. 0.4. All right, actually, I think I can make that a little darker. Let's say 0.3. How's that? Okay, yeah, that's better. Okay, so it blends nicely. I wonder, is there a black variant of this? No. So I wonder if you can go, bolder than bold on things, because those still look a little bit flimsy to me, or like not as bold as I would like them in this case. But okay, so we have this that looks slightly better. There's also still this shadow from earlier. Actually, you know what? Let's do something fun. Let's add the color to the shadow as well. And there we go. So I actually don't want to lose this for now. So let's see. Oh, this needs radius. That was actually good. 15x 0 y 10. How's this? Oh, missing argument. What argument is missing? Oh, in color. Color. Oh, is this? Oh, right. Yeah, okay. I looked in the wrong line, of course. It needs a color label. Whoa! Funky. Okay. Let's decrease the opacity here. Opacity, let's say 0.5 for now. That is a syntax error. All right. I don't know how I feel about this. It looks kind of funky. But I also have to say that I don't entirely hate it. So I'm gonna leave it for now and actually move on to the next thing. Or actually, haha, we're almost at time. So what else to do in 2 minutes? Let's see. Do I have anything from the design? Okay, I can start with these little overlay buttons. Okay, so right now those buttons are, well, buttons. So here's the edit button, and oh no, sorry, wrong place. Where are my buttons? Oh yeah, there we go. So here are the edit buttons, the button to edit and the button to delete. Now, currently they are in a VStack, which I believe is this one. Yes. So what I can start doing is putting them into a Z stack so that they will actually appear on top of things. So here we are now. Okay, and then let's also give them some background because this is just really hard to read. I mean, I'm gonna put icons in there soon anyway. But so dot background colored white. Oops. So now, okay. That is actually what I want. And I'll add that to the delete button as well. And now we have them here on top of each other. So a good question now is, how do I actually position them on the left and on the right? I might need to do some stuff with wrapping the view into multiple containers, because I think basically the alignment is controlled by the container and not by the item in it. So that is the challenge that I will take next, but my time for the stream today is up. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you for the tips that you've given me throughout. Actually, you see how little I've used Figma as a designer in the last while, because I wasn't sure how to save styles. So, well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know either in the YouTube comments or on LinkedIn or, I don't know, Carrier Pigeon, how you liked it, if you want more of this, maybe at some point in the future. And yeah, continue following along on LinkedIn, which is where I post daily updates about this project. And with some luck, we will have this in the App Store fairly soon. So with that, actually, let me come back here. All right. So with that, once again, thank you very much. And